He woke up in a new body, only to learn he now runs the strangest pet shop in the world. In this era, power comes from the beasts you raise. But in his store, even a weak skeleton can evolve into a dragon slayer overnight. Customers whisper that the clerk is a goddess. Yet, the real monster is the boss himself, whose mysterious system lets him turn any cute creature into a royal-class killing machine. What happens when a reincarnated shopkeeper becomes the strongest beast master alive? Let's find out. The protagonist's name is Su Ping, and it's easy to guess that he's been reincarnated. Right now, he's facing a formidable opponent, and his faithful companion is bleeding. The worst thing that could happen is a collision with these worms. He grabbed a broken worm Fong, ready to defend himself, while his little companion began to emit lightning. The huge worms pounced on them all at once, and he rushed into the attack with a loud cry. A few days ago, when he woke up, he noticed that he had become different. His email ID contained a foreign name and a foreign city, Longjiang. Like everyone who has been reincarnated, he now lives with a new identity. This is a world very similar to Earth. Here, technology has gone too far, but it is only auxiliary. Celestial beasts are the basis of existence here. There are many types of celestial beasts, and they are closely related to human society. They are usually used for everyday work as well as for military purposes. Many heavenly beasts are trained to kill. Even the status of large countries is determined by their strength. In other words, this is a world that relies on heavenly beasts, since the people here respect the strong accordingly. If he wants to survive here, then he must become stronger. If he's going to become stronger, then he must plan his actions carefully. First, he must understand where he is. And since he is now Su Ping, all of his Ping belongings are also his. But what is this person's origin? He walked out of his room and bumped into some girl. She was slightly surprised at first, then frowned and asked, "Did their lazy guy really wake up so early? This is just crazy." He thought, "Is this girl the sister of the body's owner? She's quite cute. And what is that badge on her chest?" Noticing where he was looking, she immediately swung her arm and hit him with all her might, ordering him to stop staring at her. As soon as her fist hit his stomach, drool flew out of his mouth, and he wondered where did she get so much strength. She crossed her arms and said that she was actually a master of martial animals, so he shouldn't think bad thoughts. Suing is a freshman at Funan University. Ping thought it seemed she and the body's former owner weren't getting along very well. He barely stood up and asked, "What's wrong with her?" He was her real older brother, after all. Her eyes flashed unkindly, and she asked, "Has he already forgotten all his pranks? How he put bugs in school bags, stole people's lunches, glued toilet seats, replaced toothpaste with mustard, hit other people's shoes, and locked doors." MC became nervous, realizing what an idiot the body's former owner was, and she said that in any case, she came to kick him out of the house. A customer of his pet store asked her to call him, and he must go there today, otherwise he would regret it. Having thrown these words at him, she slammed the door, and he looked after her in surprise, thinking that he had thought the body's former owner was a useless piece of trash. He didn't expect that he had his own pet store. Well, time to get to work. After that, he entered the address into the GPS and set off on a journey through the city of Eljiang. Along the way, he met many people with their celestial beasts and finally reached a dubious street where his pet store was located. He looked around and wondered, does this useless trash work in this homeless shelter? He opened the gate using a fingerprint scan and thought that he would clean up the place a bit and then be able to open. There was nothing difficult about it. After that, the gate rose, and when he looked inside the pet store, a bad smell immediately reached his nose. Some dog was peeing from a cage and urinating in a pile on the floor. It had done this before. Ping scolded the beast, then rolled up his sleeves and asked discontentedly, did it dare underestimate him? At that moment, someone hit him on the back, pushing him inside, and he quickly got up, asking who he was. The guy who hit him asked, did he forget his regular customer? He had been guarding him here all week. MC thought, could he really be an enemy? The guy pointed discontentedly at his battered pet and said that he left the Black Wind here for only 3 days to look after him, and he, an idiot, locked him in with 10 lionesses for 3 days. Does he even understand how cruel females are? Let him just look at him. That's what he's become. Ping smiled nervously and apologized for the inconvenience caused to him. All responsibility lies with him. He will not take money from him. The guy got very angry and asked, does he think he cares about money? He ordered his pet to take him and teach him a lesson. After which, the Black Wind rushed towards him at full speed, breaking everything in its path. The beast quickly moved behind him, and its sharp tip of the tail froze on his neck, slightly pressing on the skin. Feeling this, MC became very nervous and thought about how fast he was. Do people in this world solve problems only with force? And how did the former owner of the body even managed to anger this man. He tried to remove the sharp tail from his neck and nervously asked him to talk. Wouldn't it be good to just sit down and discuss everything? How about he pay 3 times more for his loss? He asked. Is he thinking of buying it off with money for ruining his battle beast? But he thought of something. After that, he smiled and told the Black Wind to demonstrate a new attack on him. Let him blow up this fraudulent company and restore his honor. He must remember that the blood of a white dragon flows in him. A cloud of energy began to accumulate in the beast's mouth. And seeing such a bright light, Ping was frightened and wondered why it was so strong. The Black Wind opened its mouth wider, preparing to strike, and he thought that he had only recently been reborn. And why did he find himself in such a weak body? He didn't even have his own pet. At that moment, a spark flashed. Lightning struck him, and time froze around him. After that, a system window appeared in front of him with a message stating that a suitable target had been found, and the contract was beginning. He smiled and thought that his cheating system had finally turned on. Now, it was more like reincarnation. But when the system reported that the suitable target was the mischievous pet store, he was greatly surprised and exclaimed, "How is my contract connected to this place?" The system said that he was now the owner of the super pet system, after which his entire body began to glow, and he asked in surprise, "What is that?" The system said that while in the pet store, he would be immune to damage. Any attack in the pet store would be useless against him. He wondered if this meant he was now invulnerable. Wasn't the linked object this place? The system confirmed it, and he looked at it doubtfully, after which time resumed its course and the man ordered his pet to tear him to shreds. The beast was about to strike, but MC closed its mouth and asked discontentedly, did he want to do something to his pet store? The beast trembled with fear. Ping ordered it to lie down, and it immediately sank to the ground, quietly sobbing in fear. MC asked its owner if he didn't like their service. The guy was surprised that he stopped the Black Wind with his bare hands, and why hadn't he heard of such a strong guy before? He nervously answered him that this was not the case at all. And then Ping approached him, saying that if there were no problems, then he could look after his pet for a couple more days. He would definitely take care of it. In the eyes of his client, this looked like a threat. After which he ran out of the pet store with his pet, screaming loudly. MC looked after him, puzzled, and thought, is he really that scary? The system informed him that the problem in the pet store was resolved. He was given one chance to update the status of the pet store. He agreed to this and thought that unexpectedly this system turned out to be very thoughtful. After that, streams of energy swirled around him and the pet store was instantly transformed. It became very clean and beautiful here. He looked at his reflection in the polished tiles and thought in surprise, is this an update? It's cool here now. He was interested in a certain room, and when he entered it, he saw 2 small animals sleeping in cages. He was puzzled by the fact that these animals were very small, and the system informed him that they were tame pets. All tamed pets will be adjusted to the standard size. At the moment, he can hatch 9 pets in this room. He has the ability to train and heal them. He said that this is not cool at all. They won't dirty all his cages, will they? The system told him that he doesn't need to worry. The pets are in a state of cultivation and do not need food or excretion. He rubbed his chin in confusion and asked, these 2 pets should be taken back by their owners, right? To prevent people from causing trouble again. What should he do? The system congratulated him on the launch of the main line. The main quest begins now. He can choose a pet and evolve it to level 3 or higher. He could choose a lighting rat or a moondog. He thought the main line was only activated now. This system is completely unreliable. He chose a rat because he doesn't get along well with dogs. A window for the lighting rat status opened in front of him. It's a thunder beast, and it has a special skill being cute. It's an unremarkable beast, mostly seen as a pet. Ping picked up the rat and wondered what kind of special skill it was. Or was the thunder and lightning? The system told him that depending on the type of training, the beast would learn different skills. Since the beast had been selected, he needed to enter the cultivation dimension, the cloud thunder realm. The system began loading, after which a portal appeared under his feet, and he fell through the ground and fell at high speed, screaming in fear along with the rat. Finally, they moved to another dimension. MC landed nimbly, unlike the rat, and looked around in surprise, asking, is this the cultivation dimension? There were huge trees all around, lightning striking them and crystals growing near the roots. He raised his head to examine the large tree and asked, does anyone even live here? The lightning rat, meanwhile, had climbed onto his shoulder and was now trembling with fear. And the system reported that the Cloud Thunder Kingdom was a place inhabited by countless ancient giant beasts. This place is ideal for cultivating thunder beasts. The probability of encountering beasts 100 m tall and below was high. 1,000 m tall was low, and 10,000 m tall and above was very low. He picked up the rat and said that this place was terrifying and that there was a high chance of encountering such tall beasts, but they hadn't seen them, right? The rat suddenly squealed loudly and waved its paws. And when Ping looked up, he saw the enormous 10-meter tall king of beasts, the Thunderpool, above his head. He was very frightened by such a size, after which the Thunderpool shot fire breath from its mouth at them, and he died. He was immediately transferred to another space, and he caught his breath, exclaiming, "What kind of creature is this? Isn't he dead?" The system informed him that he was killed by the king of beasts and is now in the resurrection space. He will soon return to life. Warning: failure to complete this quest will result in lower scores for the owner. The quest will also fail if he leaves this place. If the number of points received is below 60, then he will be destroyed. He became slightly angry and told the system that it didn't tell him this when he accepted the quest. And how many points does he have now? It pointed to a running bar and said that he needs to scroll down to see the rewards and punishments. Besides, he has too few points, so he does not have permission to view the score. He cursed loudly and exclaimed that it was mocking him. What if the king of beasts kills him again? The system informed him that there was a small chance he would encounter the king of beasts. He could find more suitable prey to kill it himself. Since his perception level was too low, it was recommended to enter into a temporary contract with the beast. After reading this, he smiled nervously and thought that the system was in no hurry to help him. After this, he was resurrected and he reappeared in the Cloud Thunder Kingdom with the rat and entered into a temporary contract with it. The system informed him that his mental state and the lighting rat had successfully merged. After some time, all discomfort would pass. He looked around and seeing a beast similar to horses, thought that it shouldn't be very dangerous. They had a chance to defeat it alone. Suddenly, the rat squeaked and he immediately realized that danger lay ahead. After entering into a temporary contract, he felt the beast's fear. At that moment, a huge worm jumped out from underground and grabbed the horse with its sharp teeth. It was a tiny beast, a giant sandworm, but it was still a small specimen. The rat hissed, and MC, deciding they had a chance, since the worm was still small, sent the rat into battle and advised it to aim for the neck. While the worm was happily devouring the horse, the rat attacked, but it couldn't penetrate the beast's hard shell and hit its head. The system immediately informed Ping that the lighting rat had died from a head injury, but a new skill had been acquired, a dash. Does he wish to resurrect the pet? He nervously thought that the lighting rat's combat power was completely insufficient. Fortunately, it can be resurrected infinitely. No matter how much health this beast has, they can reduce it little by little. He resurrected the lighting rat, and the system reported that the remaining number of resurrections is infinite. MC ordered the beast to continue and approach the worm. Let it use its body size to dodge the attack. The rat began to attack, following his orders, and Ping ordered it to dash right away and attack the crack in the worm's shell. The rat tilted its head, pointing its horns forward, and immediately struck the worm's body. MC was glad they had succeeded, but it wasn't enough, and the monster grabbed the rat. The system reported that lighting rat had died from internal bleeding. He wished to resurrect it. He immediately pressed the resurrection button and told the rat to hold out a little longer. After that, the small beast struck again, resurrecting it, and then sent it back into battle. This continued for some time, the rat dying and reviving, and at one point, sparks began to emanate from it. The system reported that due to the high concentration of thunder in the environment, lighting rat had mastered some of the thunder system's power. Lightning can now be attached to the skill. The skill was successfully upgraded, and Dash has now become Thunder Dash. Ping was overjoyed and said that an elemental attack should completely penetrate this monster's defense. He ordered the rat to use a skill to end the battle, and it immediately rushed forward, leaving a trail of lightning behind it, and successfully dealt with the enemy. The rat stopped to catch its breath, and the system reported that the battle was over. 2% completed. MC clenched his fist in joy and exclaimed that it had killed this worm beautifully. It seemed the rat could only use a thunder skill once a day. He should let it rest a bit before looking for new prey. Suddenly, everything around him trembled. He lost his balance and fell, and the ground beneath his feet cracked. A pile of 100-meter-long giant sandworms appeared in front of him. These were adults, and apparently, they had come to avenge the hatchling. They immediately began to attack. The beast hit Ping with its tail, throwing him and the rat aside, causing him to cough up blood. He glanced at these monsters and thought that they had broken 5 or 6 of his ribs. Adults are much stronger. Is there any point in fighting them? The difference in combat power is simply enormous. He glanced at the rat and thought that it was also in bad shape. It had not yet recovered from the last battle. It would be better if he did not resist. There were too many enemies, and no matter how furiously he resurrected and fought, it would be difficult for him to even hit them with 2 fists. The most sensible choice was to resurrect and then level up. He spread his arms out to the sides, preparing to accept his death, and a huge worm pounced on him, its mouth wide open. Hearing a squeak behind him, MC immediately turned to the lighting rat, which was trying to get up. Then it lunged forward, attacking the worm and breaking its fang, protecting the guy. He looked in surprise at the sparks in the air and exclaimed it was able to use Thunder Dash again. And of its own free will, the rat landed nearby. It squeaked, and Ping said that he could feel its fighting spirit. It was time for them to consolidate this experience. He took the worm's fang and said that since it hadn't given up, he wouldn't sit still either. Despite their chances, they decided to fight to the death, and obviously lost. They resurrected in a random place, and MC immediately sat down and sighed heavily, thinking that this was strange. He died and was resurrected, but he was still so tired. The system told him that resurrection has a certain psychological burden. The current host's mental strength is too low. It's normal for him to feel tired after being resurrected so often in a short period of time. While improving his strength, he should also pay attention to training his mental strength. He smiled slightly and thought that no matter how good a car's engine was, it was useless without gasoline. It looked like he would have to train his body well. Noticing the rat squeak wearily, he immediately stood up and looked around, wondering if there were enemies nearby. He noted that the terrain was different from where they had fought before. Everything here felt very hard. It turned out that they had resurrected right on the shell of some huge beetle. It began to move, and they immediately jumped to the ground. It was a stone cockroach, a tandem-long beast. It opened its mouth and spat acid at them. But fortunately, Ping was able to dodge. After that, he ordered the rat to go into full readiness and attack. The small beast enveloped its body in sparks and then rushed into battle. Morning came. They managed to deal with that stone cockroach and then with the other monsters around, and now they lay on their bodies and rested. The system congratulated him on completing the quest. He used resurrection only 68 times and lighting rat iron 47 times. In total, they killed 472 beasts. Thunder Dash skill increased to Thunderstorm. Lighting rat's perception skill residual. As a reward, he received Dragon Beast Identification Basic Stage. He thought Thunderstorm and residual perception. Had Lighting Rat really learned the skills of the 10 legendary secret techniques? Heavenly Beast skills are divided into 6 qualities depending on combat power. The higher the quality, the more powerful the skills. Among these extensive skills, some are inherited from ancient times. They're called secret skills. The method for acquiring secret skills has long been lost, and only the most gifted celestial beasts can comprehend it. The system informed him that prolonged exposure to the thunder element allowed the lighting rat to fully unlock its potential and learn secret skills. He laughed, now understanding how it happened, and asked it to return them home quickly. The system said that the temporary contract between master and pet was terminated and preparations for their return were beginning. His body immediately began to evaporate and he returned home. Sometime later, the annual Fun University competition began. A huge projection of a man appeared in the sky and announced to everyone that today was the last day of the selection process. Who among the participants will emerge victorious this year? Which celestial beast will demonstrate its strength? Whose team will reach the top? Perhaps Yao, or Zhang Shuhan, or Zhang Xiao. Amidst the crowd of students stood a third-year student at Funan University, Su Yenying. She sighed heavily. Previously, she had thought that the district selection process would be straightforward. But in that competition, she came across promising participants whose faces showed that they would win. She lost twice in a row. In this competition, she will face Zhang Sha. She only has the hunt to tiger left, which she barely healed. So, it's time for her to take the lighting rat. She still won't have enough strength, but according to the competition rules, participants must have at least 2 fighting beasts. One way or another, they will soon see the strength of her 100 to tiger. After that, she went to the pet store. Entering inside, she called out to the owner, but no one answered. She looked around and thought that the store was empty. Is he going to move? What a timely arrival. She called out to the owner again, saying that she came to pick up the pet, and MC came out of the room greeting her. She said that she left the lighting rat here 2 weeks ago, and she would like to take it back. Is it okay? He was slightly surprised to see the owner of this rat, and rudely replied that her rat was doing very well. It couldn't be better. Let her remember to pay everything. She tilted her head to the side in bewilderment, and wondered why he was being so strange. Was he worried because she hadn't paid right away? She smiled and told him not to worry. Even though she had arrived early, she would still pay the entire amount, no less. He only glanced at her in response, and then headed back to the room. She scratched her head in confusion, wondering what she had done wrong. Meanwhile, he woke up the rat, picked it up, and said that it was time to go home. The rat was very happy, and he left the room, asking it not to forget him. As soon as he gave the girl her pet, money was credited to his pet store account, which was automatically converted into energy points. The system informed him of a new task. Chaos conceals the wrath of the spirits. He must acquire his own heavenly beast. He's given 7 days to complete the quest. As a reward, he'll receive one random War Beast Master skill book. Failure will result in a penalty. His points will be reduced. If he lacks points, the master will be destroyed. He can purchase an awakening potion from the system store to become a War Beast Master. Upon learning this, he became agitated, then went to the system store and saw several items there. The system informed him that this was in the master's mind. If he wanted to buy something in the future, he could simply call up the store window. He wanted to take the awakening potion, but he didn't have enough energy. Money is also converted into energy points at a ratio of 100-to-1. At the moment, his account only had 1 energy point. He thought, is that so little? It can't be. It turns out the girl only transferred him 18 yuan for this service. He immediately seethed with rage and exclaimed that thanks to him, her pet had mastered several secret skills, and she only gave him 108 yuan. Time passed, and the competition began. The host said it was simply amazing. Zhang Sha's demonic dragon dog severely injured Su Yining and LT, Unk and GT, S-Tiger with his first attack. As expected of Zhang Sha, known as the Chosen Terminator, he is strong and is always at his best. Zhang Sha was also a third-year university student. He looked haughtily at his opponent and asked with a smile, will they continue? Meanwhile, Vice Principal Dong and the others sat in the designated seats. He said that Su Yinyang was also once a strong athlete, but she was unlucky enough to compete against such masters 2 years in a row. Her heavenly beast was seriously injured, and she had practically no chance of winning. Hoji said that she was still young. In the face of absolute defeat, they either give up or fight recklessly, leaving no choice. This is truly wrong. The man next to her, Frank, said that she knew better from the outside. The result of this fight was directly related to the possibility of joining the main competition in the future. Their friend added that even when the chances were slim, she would naturally want to do everything possible to fight. The host said they were eager to see how Su Yining handled this, and meanwhile, she was thinking, should she admit defeat or fight to the death? She lost so quickly. The tiger lost, and last time, despite receiving treatment, it never fully recovered. As if reading her mind, the host said that her beast was injured again. Now, she had practically no hope of winning. She nervously clenched her teeth and thought that it was time for her to put an end to her 3-year university career. Her opponent, meanwhile, chuckled and commanded the demonic dragon dog to let her die with dignity. After which, the host excitedly said that Zhang Shirao had made his move. He planned to finish the fight before the tiger returned to the battle. Seeing a flame ball flying straight at her, she was terrified and said that she gave up, after which an explosion was heard. One of the spectators screamed in fright and said that this thing almost killed him, and the guy next to him laughed and told him not to worry. Everything was under the control of high-ranking judges. Few students were capable of destroying the star shield. When the girl opened her eyes, she saw a shield standing in front of her, and the host said that the referee intervened because Su Yining had given up. Now they can congratulate Zhang Sha on winning the first round. He clicked his tongue in displeasure, thinking that he almost finished her off. He finally told her not to rely on luck next time, but she ignored him and turned to her second beast, wondering what she should do. She only had a lighting rat left, and it was still eating all sorts of junk since she got it from the pet store. Maybe that guy had ruined it. Could she really force a rat to fight in this state? She gritted her teeth and thought that she couldn't do that. Even a Hun to tiger could lose in one blow. So, how could she expose a rat to such senseless danger? The host reminded the participants that according to the rules, Su Yining only had a lighting rat left for the next round, and she wondered if she should release it. Even if she had mastered the secret skill of enhancing the power of the third stage, it would only increase the combat power from the first stage to the second. The host said that everyone knew that a first-stage lighting rat wouldn't stand a chance against a third-stage demonic dragon dog. The spectators laughed and told the girl not to be afraid. Let her just turn the bicycle into a motorcycle. Yongsha's dog thoroughly enjoyed the snack. They started shouting at her to surrender, which made the rat angry, and she thought that the gap in strength was too great. She couldn't let her pet die in vain. It seemed she should stop there. She was about to raise her hand to say she gave up, but the rat ran forward with a loud, enraged roar. The host was surprised by this and said that it seemed Su Yining was already ready for this battle without any waiting. The countdown to the start of the round began. Yining looked at her pet in surprise, and it squeaked, reassuring her, while Zhang Xiao grinned and said that fortunately this little thing came out on its own, otherwise it would have been too boring. As soon as the countdown ended, he ordered his beast to burn this trash, and the dog released several fireballs in their direction. The rat, meanwhile, began to fill the air around it with electricity, and Huji leaned forward with interest, wondering in surprise. Could it really be it? Yinning ordered the lighting rat to use lightning speed to dodge, and it immediately aborted the attack. Since its owner didn't know what abilities it now possessed, she simply gave it trivial commands. Of course, the rat had to obey, and it began to dodge the falling fireballs, squealing in fear. And yet, the small beast was still hit. Huji immediately dismissed that thought and thought she was overthinking it. Meanwhile, the host said that the lighting rat had been knocked down by the demonic dragon dog's attack. There's a saying that running is shameful, but useful, but this rat will have to run too fast. Zhang Xia, eager to see blood, ordered his dogs to torture the rat for him. The host said the demonic dragon dog was preparing for close combat. It seemed Zhang Xiao had no plans to end the round. He wanted to slowly teach the little rat a lesson it would never forget. Yinning immediately used her third stage power enhancement, and before the dog's jaws could close, the rat had already escaped. Dong was surprised that the little beast was so fast, and Frank chuckled, saying it was getting more and more interesting. The host said the lighting rat had managed to dodge, and the girl gave it the order to attack immediately. Finally, the rat could fully utilize its abilities. It began to electrify the air around it, and Hoji again noticed something surprising after that. The little beast fired a huge lightning arrow at the enemy. It was the 7th stage of the Thunder system. Thunderclap. Such a powerful blow even pierced the protective dome above the arena, and the sight astonished everyone around. The vice principal exclaimed in disbelief. A first-stage lighting rat could use a 7th-stage skill. The man said with a smile that the youth of today are formidable. After such a blow, the dog was naturally defeated. And Zhang Xia smiled nervously, not understanding how this could have happened. Even the host was speechless. All the spectators froze in anticipation, after which the host loudly declared that it was a thunderclap. Lighting rat really mastered a 7th-stage skill. This is simply unthinkable. The winner of this fight has been determined. The spotlight fell on Yinning, who was sitting fearfully on the floor, and the spectators immediately began to rejoice, praising her skills. Meanwhile, she looked at her pet and wondered when it had become so strong. After all, this hadn't happened just a couple of days ago. And then a thought occurred to her. Could it really be because of that suspicious pet store? She picked up the rat and wondered if the pet shop owner was some legendary master, although he didn't look like one at all. Ping, meanwhile, sneezed and told the beast he was feeding not to move. After that, he rubbed his nose and thought, who was thinking about him? Meanwhile, the host excitedly said that this fight was destined to go down in university history. They weren't saying goodbye because there was still one round left. An ordinary first-level pet actually possessed a 7th-level skill, a first for the university. Even in all of Longjiang, this had never happened before. Young Xiao clutched his head and thought he should have guessed. No one would send some trash to such a serious competition. The host said that for now this match was a draw. Both sides were already preparing to fight to the death in the decisive round. Young Xia was preparing a countermeasure to defeat the lighting rat. He recalled his demon dog and told the girl that she was really good. After that, he waved his hand and shouted in rage that this wouldn't be the end. A stone rhinoceros emerged from the portal behind him. This beast would be their opponent. The guy said that Thunderclap was now useless, and the girl tensed because it was a ground-type heavenly beast. She had never seen him use it before. It was his hidden ace. The host excitedly said that he had summoned a 4th-stage stone rhinoceros. Its size was impressive, and the beast had incredible properties. The upcoming battle threatened something bad for the lighting rat, but the small beast boldly stepped forward, and he said that it was apparently ready for battle. It was completely unafraid of its opponent. He announced at the beginning of the round, and Frank said that looking at Zhang Xiao and LT, Unk and GT's actions, it was clear that he was going to use all his strength. But this little thing still couldn't handle it. He thought this round would be uninteresting. Woji told him not to jump to conclusions. This heavenly beast had surpassed its own limits. If it only had first-stage strength, it wouldn't have been able to stand still after using a 7th-stage skill. And judging by this beast's strong fighting spirit, she dared to guess that it hadn't displayed its full strength. Meanwhile, the countdown ended. The host waved his hand, announcing the start of the battle, and Yung Xiao immediately used 2nd-stage strength and momentum enhancement, as well as 3rd-stage armor enhancement. The host immediately noticed the heavenly beast's remarkable skills. He used several enhancement skills on the stone rhinoceros at once. At this point, its combat power had reached at least a 5th stage. Yinning immediately felt intense pressure and wanted to give her pet a boost, but it rushed into battle, and she became worried as the distance was too great for her to use a skill. Noticing this, the host asked if Su Yinning had made a mistake. The lighting rat actually came face-to-face with the stone rhinoceros without the effort skill. Jin Sha grinned broadly, relishing his victory, and commanded the stone rhinoceros to crush the rat into a pancake. At that moment, a huge foot covered the small beast with a shadow. But as soon as the impact occurred, it split in two and jumped out from under the enemy's paws. Seeing this, Frank was very surprised. It was a residual split, another 7th stage skill. Huiji laughed and remarked that this was so interesting. She wanted this girl for her team. The host said that the lighting rat decided not to fight the stone rhinoceros, instead heading straight for Zhang Zhao's position. Did she really plan to deal with the king? It caught the enemy by surprise, taking advantage of its opponent's weakness. Remembering Ping, the lighting rat pounced on the guy. He retreated back in fear and erected a 3rd stage shield in front of himself. After that, the rat used thunderclap, breaking through his shield, and a roar was heard. The host excitedly said that lighting rat and the residual clone simultaneously used thunderclap, but the star shield was destroyed almost immediately. Could he have survived this attack? A huge indentation remained on the ground at the impact site, and a second before his death, the divine phoenix of the judges lifted Zhang Sha into the air, and he almost lost consciousness from fear. After that, the phoenix lowered him to the ground, and the judge said that Zhang Sha lost in the 3rd round. The host immediately declared the girl the winner and congratulated her on successfully passing the selection, after which all the spectators began chanting her name and calling her Rat King. She loved all this attention so much. She was glad that she was able to win and thought, is she really not dreaming? In addition to Thunderclap, it also took over the residual clone. She is sure that the pet store owner did this. He really is incredible. He looks unremarkable. Who would have thought that he is an incomparable master? Night fell. MC went to his room, and before going to bed, he thought about how he could earn more than 10,000 yuan in a week. But he can't just rely on the pet shop. The system showed him that his pet shop currently only offers 3 services: shelter, rental, and feed sales. Since he didn't purchase animal spaces, 2 spaces are currently unusable, which the system gives him for free. Using 1 space costs 10 yuan per hour. The Celestial Beast Rental Service is a comprehensive assessment based on the rank, combat power, and qualifications of the beasts. He currently doesn't breed celestial beasts, so the assessment is impossible. To sell feed, he needs to personally collect the ingredients. Prices are set depending on the quality of the feed. He then thought that he doesn't have enough money for the first. He doesn't even have the qualifications for the second, which leaves only the 3rd option. He asked, can the ingredients be collected anywhere or only in special cultivation zones like Cloud, Thunder Realm? The system told him that harvesting was available in all cultivation zones. Cloud Thunder Realm was just one of countless high-ranking zones. Furthermore, the higher the zone level, the higher the chance of obtaining the best ingredient. Reading the last line, he felt disappointed. He'd spent 3 whole days fussing with a lighting rat in a high-ranking zone and missed the opportunity to harvest some good fodder. This couldn't go on any longer. Within 3 days, he would have become a war beast master. After that, he went to the pet shop and asked the system to show him a list of cultivation zones. To enter an elite cultivation zone, 1,000 points were required. A high-ranking 100, a mid-ranking 110, and a low-ranking 1. Since he only had 1 point, he could only afford the lowest-ranking zones. He thought that if he had known about this earlier, he wouldn't be so angry now. The system said that as a professional pet shop owner, he should consciously collect all items related to celestial beasts. A suitable cultivation zone was selected for him, the extraterrestrial meteorite 102. Did he wish to enter? He immediately agreed and thought that he knew he couldn't miss the opportunity to level up his pet. After that, he entered another dimension and found himself on a lawn next to a lake in which large long-necked beasts roamed. The system informed him that he had been temporarily given a beginner's item, a scroll for appraising ancient flowers and herbs. Each item could only be used 3 times. He needed to think about it to activate it. The completion time was 1 day, and the number of free resurrections was 30. He reached for the scrolls the system had so kindly given him and thought, so he just needed to think about it. He successfully retrieved and activated the items, after which he saw a system window next to each plant describing it. He walked further into the forest, thinking that plants that could be picked up without any danger were cheap. In a clearing ahead, he saw a ground-type stone beast, and the system showed him its characteristics. He looked at the flower it was eating. It was a stone rose of high rarity. Long-term use can increase the damage of fire-type skills. It was the favorite food of fire attribute, celestial beasts. He immediately ran out of the forest and headed for the plant, thinking that expensive pet food was always found in dangerous places. He had limited storage space, so he had to choose the most expensive plants. Before the beast could eat it, he tore out of the soil and put it in storage. But he immediately paid for his actions. The beast ate him, so he hunted for rare plants, sacrificing himself each time. And when the number of free resurrections was finally exhausted, he was returned to the pet store. He sat down on the floor and caught his breath, thinking that dying and resurrecting 30 times in one day was still very tiring for him. But now there would be no problems. He glanced at his huge storage and decided to put everything in its place. Time passed. A chicken lived in a house, and it was very sick, so much so that it did not eat anything. The old man approached the beast and worriedly said that it hadn't eaten a grain of rice in a week. A member of the Black Wolf team's grandson, Fun Yujing, opened the suitcase and said that this was the most expensive celestial bird food in the Shanchang area. He should just give it to Xia, and it was guaranteed to restore its appetite. Smelling the aroma, the bird immediately emerged from its hiding place. And the old man was delighted, asking his granddaughter, Shirao Yuyu, to let the beast try it quickly. She pulled a centipede out of the jar and fed it to Xiaoyi, but it immediately spat it out along with black blood. Seeing this, Eugene became very nervous, and the girl said that Xiaoyi would never eat even the rarest and darkest centipedes in the world. He told her to quickly contact the Celestial Beast Clinic. Judging by the symptoms, it had a parasitic heart infection. They needed to help it as soon as possible before it was too late. The old man immediately picked up the chicken, getting ready to go to the doctor when his wife entered the room and told him not to worry. Their Shirao was safe. She brought some fruit with her, and her granddaughter said Shirao was seriously ill, so they were going to the clinic. Her grandmother, perplexed, asked what was wrong, after which the chicken snatched the fruit from her hands, and as soon as it swallowed, the animal felt noticeably better. The old man was glad that it was finally eating something, and his wife smiled, saying that the owner of that place hadn't lied. The scarlet bird possesses the purest attribute. They shouldn't eat unknown things, otherwise it will lead to loss of appetite and heart damage. The pet will recover if it regularly eats the fruits of the stone rose. The girl glanced at the jar of centipedes and asked Eugene if they had been feeding their pet incorrectly all this time. He was indignant and told his grandmother not to believe the nonsense of all sorts of shady traders. This was the first time he'd heard of pet food being divided into types. How much did she buy it for? She continued feeding Xiao and said that one fruit costs 130 yuan. Hearing this, he was very surprised and said that means she spent more than 1,000 yuan in total. The girl said they weren't even in Shanken. How can pet food be so expensive? Maybe this trader is illegal. She'd heard that illegal traders mix all sorts of chemicals into their food, and pets like it so much that they stop eating other food. If you take this food away from them, they go crazy. And if the pet continues to eat this chemical food, it will die. The old man was very scared for Xiao and looked at how it was happily eating the fruits. After which Eugene grabbed his grandmother by the shoulders and asked where this pet store was and what it was called. He would find this merchant. She nervously answered him that she had been to the mischievous pet store, after which he and his sister went to sort things out. He called out to the owner from the doorway, rudely saying that they had something to talk about, then went up to the counter and asked what he added to the food for the heavenly beasts. Ping looked at him in confusion and thought that he had only sold one food so far. Are these two talking about the fruits of the rock rose? Could their pet really be having problems with cultivation? He replied that their food for the heavenly beasts is completely natural without any additives. Did the scarlet bird have any side effects after eating it? The guy asked, so the food is without additives, but it kept eating his food. Does he think that's good? Let him speak frankly. Passers-by crowded outside the pet store, starting to discuss the situation. This pet store had problems before. There used to be animal feces scattered everywhere, and now they sell expensive food. But the thing is, they've never even heard of this food. Unfortunately, illegal pet stores are like that. There was an online exposed that they use celestial beast food with low-quality nutritional supplements. MC started getting angry, and the girl told her brother to stop doing this useless nonsense. He should better ask his friends from the Pet Food Association to check out this illegal dealer. Ping finally got angry and asked, do they think he's selling bad food? He stood up so abruptly that the girl fell over in fear, and he said that this was an unsubstantiated accusation. Where is their evidence? Eugene immediately rushed to protect his sister, even though he hadn't even touched her, and grabbed him by the neck, asking, does he want to die? The system activated immunity to the pet shop owner, and the guy's fingers instantly broke. He cried out loudly in pain and wondered why he was so strong. The system gave him a limited task. His pet shop had been baselessly slandered. He must prove his innocence and the usefulness of his food, or he would suffer losses. As a reward for successfully completing the task, he would receive one chance to enter any cultivation zone and an unlimited number of resurrections. The maximum stay in the zone was 5 days. For failure, he would be deducted 10 points. Passers-by began whispering that the pet shop owner had started beating him without saying anything, and he thought that if he didn't explain it to them, he would lose not only his points, but also his customers. He sighed heavily and asked them to be quiet. He guaranteed that there were absolutely no problems with his pet food. Since everyone had doubts about the quality of his products, he would prove everything to them. People didn't even want to listen to him and started calling for him to close the pet store. And when he loudly ordered them to be quiet, silence finally reigned. He took out a blue yuan fruit and asked if anyone had a watertight beast with them. Sho confusedly replied that she had such a beast, after which she summoned Ono. This watertight beast had first stage strength, low affinity, and few skills. Her brother immediately shielded the beast and asked what he was going to do. He replied that he would give Ono a blue fruit. Then they would see that his food was completely harmless. The beast ate it without a problem, after which people began to discuss it. Has anyone heard of this fruit? There's something similar at specialty pet stores, but it's for constipation. They laughed, not expecting anything. But the animals suddenly grew in size, and then it started glowing very brightly. Eugene immediately covered his sister with a shield, and she wondered, "What is this? Why is it glowing like that?" When the glow ended, she saw that her beast rank had risen to the second stage, and its strength to the middle first stage. MC smiled with satisfaction and thought that the blue yuan fruits could boost low-ranking beasts to the second stage. It was clear that the fodder from the cultivation zone was some kind of counterfeit. However, this water beast's level had only risen by one stage, and its strength had only increased by half, and its abilities were worrying him. As the rank of heavenly beasts increased, its strength also increased slightly. The less combat power gained from strengthening, the worse its skills, and vice versa. Moreover, the bloodline of heavenly beasts is also divided into ranks. A bloodline rank means that a beast can naturally increase its basic combat power as its age and rank increase. For example, a water beast with a third stage bloodline, even without help with cultivation, will be able to naturally rise to the third stage. But if it doesn't train, its strength won't increase. People were surprised that the beast had become stronger. While Eugene was shocked, looking at the beast's appearance, he had no doubt that it had successfully advanced. He had only heard of the treasures used by the Federation Celestial Beasts. If so, the identity of this pet shop owner was too terrifying. The girl rushed to check her pet and asked if it was really him. Maybe he'd switched it. Her brother immediately forced her to bow to him and apologized, saying that they had really overdone it. They were so blind that they were asking for forgiveness. Ping glanced at them with displeasure, then pointed to the blue fruits and said that he would take 8,700 yuan for one. He doesn't cheat customers, and he is an honest businessman. Eugene smiled nervously and said that his sister would pay for it now, and thought that for such a price, leveling up this weak little thing was a real bargain, like a pittance. MC, meanwhile, thought that the price was still as low as before. The animal feed he was dying for was incredibly cheap. He asked the system if it really couldn't increase the price. This amazing feed was too cheap. It told him that the set prices couldn't be changed. He sighed heavily, telling the guy that the properties of his sister's beast were too low. He advised them to use colored Buddha's heart leaves. Besides, for a full recovery, the scarlet bird needs to take stone rose fruits for a long time. Eugene patted his sister on the head and said that of course Sho would pay for everything. Someone from the onlookers asked, "Is it really that effective and yet so cheap? Is this really a scam? Maybe I should buy them something too." The man remarked that his pet food had a visible effect for such a cheap price. Of course, he would buy something too. They all pounced on Ping, and he smiled at them, telling them to wait in line. After the sale, about 31,500 yuan were credited to his account, which converted into 315 energy points. For completing a limited time quest, he was granted the opportunity to enter any cultivation zone for 5 days. He was glad that he had finally accumulated points. Now, he could buy an awakening potion. He immediately opened the system shop, bought the potion, and uncorked the bottle with anticipation. As soon as he drank the potion, he felt something. A vision appeared before his eyes of a bright light enveloping his body and filling him with power. When it was over, he resolutely looked up and said that he had finally become a battle beast master. Hearing a buzzing sound behind him, he immediately turned around and grabbed a fly by the wings, surprised to notice that his reaction speed had increased. The system informed him that he had 215 points remaining. Would he like to upgrade the level of the Chaos Spirit Pool? Using the Chaos Spirit Pool requires 10 points of energy at a time. There's a high probability of unsuccessful summoning. The probability of a low-ranking celestial beast appearing is very low, and the probability of a mid-ranking beast appearing is extremely low. Upgrading the Spirit Pool to level 2 requires 100 points. And after upgrading, each use costs 100 energy. A level 2 pool gives a medium probability of successfully summoning a low-ranking celestial beast, a low probability of a mid-ranking beast, and an extremely low probability of a high-ranking beast. He thought he had a good chance of getting a mid-ranking pet without leveling up, but this was too much. After upgrading, a high-ranking pet might appear, so he should try. He immediately upgraded the Chaos Spirit Pool to level 2, and he had 115 points left. He prepared himself here and now. Success or failure. What will happen? He used the Spirit Pool, and a bright beam of light struck it, filling the entire room with smoke. MC peered in anticipation at the dark silhouette in this cloud of smoke and wondered what kind of pet he would get, but it turned out to be just a small skeleton. It has a rank and power of the first stage. It is a demonic-type beast with low properties and only one skill, recombination of severed limbs. This is the lowest ranked beast. Most likely only the most hopeless people are forced to have it. Ping was greatly disappointed and exclaimed, "And this is 100 energy points." The skeleton laughed contentedly and said that this was not a compliment. The system said the quest was successfully completed. He received one random skill book of the Warbeast Master. He received the assassination skill. By consuming a certain amount of mental power, his pet will be able to awaken a murderous heart. Once in rage mode, the pet will continue to deliver a deadly attack even if seriously injured. He rubbed his chin in confusion and thought that there were so many powerful creatures in high-ranking cultivation zones. So, no matter how much the basic properties increased, the skeleton would inevitably be killed in seconds. But with the assassination skill, he would reap the benefits with minimal investment. This time, there were no losses. The system said that it had detected that the owner had met the necessary conditions to start a new main quest line. He needed to upgrade his pet's properties to mid and high level. As a reward for completing it, he would receive a Chaos Star Universe map. He had 7 days to complete this quest. If he failed, 10 points would be deducted. He thought indignantly, what kind of requirement is this? Even the lighting rat only had below average properties, and the small skeleton was very weak even for its type. The difference in difficulty is too great. It's like turning a stone into a diamond. He reached out to the small skeleton, and it hit him with its fist, and he noticed that it was so optimistic. Voices were heard from the main room. He thought they were customers and immediately locked the skeleton in the cage. It was Yinny with her friend Lely. She called the pet store owner, and the girl looked around, asking why this place was in such a boondocks. MC left the room, and seeing this girl was immediately disappointed and called her 108 yuan, noting that she had come again. And what is the purpose of her dear visit this time? She ran up to him and displeasedly told him not to call her that. She told him her name and said that yesterday the lighting rat was completely different from before. Didn't he do something to it? He looked away and thought that they were all unhappy. He told her that he didn't do anything. They only had regular walks and games. He smiled and turned to the lighting rat, asking, "Is that really how it was?" The beast squeaked in fear. Then Ping stroked its head, and Yinning thought that he called walking cultivation. The lighting rat wasn't even afraid of the 4th-stage dragon dog, but now she trembled in front of this guy. Meanwhile, he suggested that her pet repeat their walk sometime, and in the girl's eyes, he looked threatening. Could his strength really be equal to the 5th stage? But he exudes pressure higher than the 6th stage. Her friend whispered that this guy looks like an ordinary person. The pet shop itself is small and ordinary. Is she sure she wasn't mistaken? She put her finger to her lips and asked her to be quieter. She can't explain it now. This guy is probably a 7th-stage master. If she irritates him, their lives will be in danger. She looked at her with bewilderment. While MC thought that, judging by the fact that the system didn't give out limited tasks, it wasn't about the pets. He asked why they came. Did they also think his prices were high? Yinning shuddered in fear, her eyes looking threatening, and she thought that for only 108 yuan, her pet had become very strong. This guy was testing her honesty. She asked him to accept a small thank you from her and transferred him 1,000 yuan, but the transfer failed. The other party rejected it. She looked at him in surprise and, seeing his irritated face, wondered if this was really not enough for him. She increased the price to 5,000, but he messed again and rejected it. She exclaimed in shock. "Isn't that enough?" Leela asked, "What are you doing?" Let her finally transfer the money to him. The girl with tears in her eyes asked her for help because she had no more money, and she with a heavy sigh said that she had no choice anyway. After this, Yinning looked confidently at Ping and thought that she should pay an appropriate price for the work. This was a rare opportunity to meet a person of great authority. She transferred 10,000 yuan to him, but he rejected it again, and she nervously thought why. His expression became more and more dissatisfied. She exclaimed that she couldn't believe it, but she still wouldn't give up. After that, she transferred him 100,000 yuan, and he immediately clicked the accept button. However, the system informed him that prices could not be changed, so he was prohibited from accepting additional money for pet store services. Because of this, he had to reject the transfer, and Yinning, already with tears in her eyes, asked, Isn't that enough for him? Apparently, she didn't know the true value of his services and asked him to name a price. He awkwardly cleared his throat and said that he didn't need money. Let her tell him why she came. He decided to put up with these rules in order to rise higher. And she covered her mouth in shock and thought, is he really refusing money? In this world, there really are young and strong people indifferent to fame and fortune. And this man is right in front of her. After that, she pointed to her pet and said that they had a competition in a few days, but her other celestial beasts were seriously injured, and she was pinning her last hope on the lighting rat. Therefore, she wanted him to strengthen it in 3 days. He was glad that the lighting rat was returning and thought that leveling up the small skeleton would become much more convenient. The system detected that the customer had a need to cultivate a pet, so they could use the entry-level celestial beast cultivation option. He could accept orders based on service price. So for cultivating beasts below the 3rd stage, he would receive 10,000 yuan. He was surprised that this option was so profitable, but currently only orders below the 3rd stage were being accepted. He clarified he just needs to strengthen the celestial beast, right? The service cost for 3 days would be 10,000 yuan. She thought that although it was not cheap, if it resulted in the same improvement as the previous cultivation, it would definitely be worth it. It was even very profitable. She agreed to it and thought that this was the most reputable pet shop. It was a pity she didn't know about this place earlier. Missing out on such a cultivation opportunity would truly be a great loss. After that, she transferred the money to him, which was converted into 100 points, and now he has 115 energy points in his account. He asked if she needed any other services besides cultivation. The pet shop also provides maintenance and treatment for animals. She was surprised that he also does this and thought that a veterinary clinic would be much more expensive. She of course agreed to this, and he asked her to summon the pet she wanted to keep there. She summoned 3 injured animals, and he became slightly nervous when he saw their sizes. The system said that there was a customer request for temporary pet taming. To avoid affecting the pet shop's reputation, he is advised to upgrade the sections as soon as possible. He did not understand how exactly this would affect the reputation, and it said that the initially provided free sections were made from waste spiritual stones. They contain little spiritual power as well as complex disordered waste or beams. At the initial levels, this is quite useful, but there's a high risk of causing a mutation in the pet. He cursed silently and thought he knew it, but he'd better level up and buy 3 new cages at the same time. The system informed him of a successful purchase with 50 energy points withdrawn. He now had access to 5 of the 9 sections, which cost 100 yuan per hour. Level 2 taming sections are completely safe for celestial beasts, but each slot will consume 1 energy point per day. If there aren't enough points, the taming sections will disappear. He felt so sick that his mouth started bleeding, and the girl worriedly asked what was wrong with him. He told her he was fine. 3 beasts for 3 days would cost a total of 21,600 yuan. She should remember to count everything before leaving. She immediately transferred the money to him, and Lele thought this guy was so strange. After that, he moved the beast to the sections, and his account now had 291 energy points. The system said he had received a side quest. Complete his first pet cultivation order. Requirements. The service provided in the pet shop must be of the highest quality. He must cultivate and more than double the initial combat power of the client's celestial beasts. As a reward for completing the quests, he will receive 3 entry-level great panaceas, and he has 3 days to complete them. Does he wish to accept the side quest? He thought he needed to raise the properties of the small skeleton to above average. It is currently at the 1st stage, so how should he cultivate it? Compared to cultivating a lighting rat, it is like water and wine. He agreed to complete both tasks and then opened the list of cultivation zones. Since he had the chance to enter any zone, he naturally decided to choose an elite one. He looked through the list and decided that the most suitable place for leveling up the small skeleton was the Chaos Realm. He decided to enter this dimension, after which tentacles grew from underground and grabbed him along with the beasts. The tentacles pulled them into a sea of blood, after which they found themselves in another world, right on someone's bones. MC immediately smelled a heavy smell of rot, and a lightning rat squeaked loudly, warning him of danger. A huge skeleton approached him and crushed a small one, after which it swung, and Ping was terrified. He wanted to give the rat an order, but was immediately followed by a blow. The huge skeleton slashed with its weapon at them with all its might, but they were nowhere to be found. They managed to dodge, and the small skeleton had already come to life. MC noted with a smirk that not everyone in the elite zones had reached the rank of the King of Beasts. Before him stood a giant skeleton, a demonic-type battle beast with a rank of the 7th stage and a strength of the 5th. Its properties are low, and its skills include recombination of severed limbs, cleave, and roar of war. The huge skeleton attacked again, and the rat managed to dodge, but the small skeleton died from the crushing. Ping immediately resurrected it and commanded the rat to use thunderclap. It began to create a sparkling sword, after which MC commanded it to cut the skeleton's arm, and the rat attacked. It rushed forward, unleashing all its thunderous might on the enemy, and the skeleton screamed loudly. The rat was thrown back by the sound wave. It died from the rupture of its internal organs, while the skeleton, meanwhile, used another skill. It began to collect the bones scattered everywhere and thus restore its arm. Ping noticed that the red gem on its forehead was glowing and thought, did it enhance his skill? It was quite expensive. He revived the beasts, and they also grabbed his legs, shaking with fear, and he sighing heavily said that he would have to use the book. The system informed him that he used the combat skill Killing Intent. The huge skeleton immediately rushed towards them, and he used the new skill on the beasts, and they went on the attack. But the huge skeleton attacked them again, and they all died at once. They were revived, and MC noticed that they had resurrected in the same place. Although the blow just now was powerful, it also exposed its weak point. The body's asymmetrical center of gravity makes it extremely difficult to maintain balance. It seems invulnerable, but is actually fragile. Lighting Rat rushed into battle, using residual separation to avoid the blow, after which Ping ordered it to use thunderclap. One cuts off the leg, and the second bombards the cervical vertebrae with the small skeleton providing support. He needs that gem. Two rats rushed to attack. They did everything exactly as he directed, and the small skeleton only watched. Finally, they defeated that huge beast. The gem fell from the monster's forehead and landed directly on the small skeleton's head. And the system reported that Lightning Rat had completed the kill. Strength upgrade. Third stage residual separation upgraded to multiple residual separation using the power of thunder and lightning to create 2 temporary clones. There's a small chance of creating 3. He was delighted that the rat could now create more clones. Meanwhile, the small skeleton picked up the red stone and the sight mesmerized it. MC noticed it, and the system informed him that this was a unique skill of demon-type celestial beasts. This skill could be enhanced by absorbing the energy of a beast of the same type. As soon as the little skeleton absorbed the gem, its power increased and it gained a new skill, elementary sword art. MC was overjoyed and patted the skeleton on the head, but misjudged its strength and tore it off, saying that he had always intended for it to turn out this way. Now it would be able to crush other skeletons. Their hard work had finally paid off. The little skeleton returned its head to its place, and immediately after, a strange sound was heard. The Lighting Rat turned around, squeaking in fear, and Ping saw a monster that had just appeared above the bloody sea. It was a woman with many wings, but part of her body was like a skeleton. Even the system didn't know what kind of creature it was, and MC wondered if it could be someone high-ranking. Who knows? Maybe with her, he could get another gem. The woman extended her hand towards him and began to suck out his soul, but he couldn't even do anything. After that, he and all the animals died, and he pressed the resurrection button, thinking that she was so strong that she killed them at first sight. When he resurrected, he called out to her and asked if she was by any chance the boss of his kingdom. She looked at him, but remained silent, and he waved his hand at her asking if she even had intelligence. Instead of answering, she began to suck his soul out, and he excitedly asked her to wait so he could finish speaking. He died again and moved to another space. The system reminded him that he could be resurrected an infinite number of times, but he was in no hurry to return yet. He crossed his arms over his chest with displeasure and thought that he was wasting his time here, but nothing is free. He decided to go to another place and teleported to a place with a lot of bone spikes. He immediately noticed that it was quiet there, but when he walked a little forward, he realized that he was standing high above the ground, and below was a huge army of generals. Among them, he saw that same woman, and she, noticing him, nervously pointed her finger at him, after which the place where he was standing shook, and he fell, but someone's hand grabbed him. It turns out that he moved right onto the head of the local king, and he, measuring him with a glance, ordered him to tell how he ended up here. He gives him 3 seconds to answer. He felt a very strong pressure from him, which of course made him nervous, and he answered him that he was just passing by, and he's apparently the one in charge here. He looked at him and thought, why didn't he just kill him? Is he trying to find out something? It would be good to just die, but he's holding him so tightly that he can't do anything. Under these circumstances, the system is useless. Time is ticking. He still hasn't completed the task. The king said that he is clearly not an ordinary person since he was able to sneak up on him silently. Let him answer him immediately. He will not ask a third time. Ping grinned nervously, realizing he'd been afraid of his power from the start. He needed to calm down. He had a chance to maneuver. They'd likely never seen a human before, and probably didn't know the system existed. This was all he could use. He told him he was a clone of the strongest man in the world. He'd come here to test their threat level. If it was too high, they would be exterminated. One of the generals immediately raised his sword, calling on his warriors to protect the king. But his eyes flashed, and part of the army instantly vanished. MC asked, did he kill his loyal followers? Wouldn't his conscience bother him? Maybe he's just a weakling who can only defeat the weak. The king killed him with a beam of energy, leaving no trace of him, and said that protecting him was tantamount to neglecting him since there was nothing in this world that could threaten him. Ping revived next to him and asked, is that true? The king's army and his generals were greatly surprised by such abilities, after which he used the power of his ring and got rid of Ping. He was revived, then died again. This happened many times. When he was revived again, he thought that the more painful the death, the less pain he felt. He had already gotten used to it. The king looked at him and said that this creature was capable of continuously changing the time and space of his kingdom. What kind of terrifying creature is this that calls itself a human invader? MC aimed at his ring and died again, then revived, and before the king killed him again, he managed to touch his ring and move the gem to his inventory. Immediately after that, he disappeared, and the king was greatly surprised and jumped up from his throne, exclaiming that he had used 2 higher laws simultaneously and teleported out of his line of sight. Who is he? After that, he revived in a random place and asked, did they really think he would keep dying? They're so naive. His plan was really cool. After that, he revived the little skeleton, and when he showed it a huge gem, it clutched its head in admiration. Ping smiled and asked the skeleton, does this please you? His pet will never be deprived. Let absorb it, because now it's its turn to fight. The monster headed straight for them, and at that moment, the protagonist said, basic sword art. A system window appeared in front of him, saying, successful kill. Strength boost. Stage 4. Quest progress 46%. Remaining time 1 day. The monster stepped on the creature, and several more demonic creatures moved forward. MC said, that's a lot of XP. He trusted this little skeleton. The next second, the beast made several attacks, and the system reported, little skeleton makes a kill. Strength boost stage 6. The lightning rat makes a kill. Strength boost stage 6. Quest progress 94%. Remaining time, 14 minutes. After some time, the protagonist sat on a mountain of bones and sighing said, what small fry. And there's no end to this. Then he heard a loud scream. A huge creature emerged from the mountain of bodies, and the protagonist flew down saying, this one isn't dead yet. He smiled and added, even better, he said, killing intent. The beast agreed to this, and he said that they would make progress if they killed it. The monster pointed its weapon at them. The protagonist shouted, little skeleton, beginner sword art. The next second, the skeleton swung its weapon, cutting through the monster's weapon. In response, the creature screamed loudly, directing its arms forward, shattering the ground in front of it into numerous stone pieces. A huge number of hands appeared from the ground and grabbed the protagonist and the beasts. The protagonist shouted, what? The system reported. Quest progress is 94%. Remaining time is 7 minutes. Time is running out. Please. He must pay attention to the progress while completing the quest. The protagonist uttered, they must not remind him. He thought, damn it, he's caught. Then he shouted, lightning rat. It must attack the core of this with a thunderclap. The next second, the mouse squeaked loudly, then concentrated powerful energy, directing it straight at the center of the monster's chest. The protagonist shouted in surprise. Blocked. A system window appeared, stating that the enemy's name, rank, type, strength, properties, and skills were unknown. MC thought again, unable to determine who it was. Then he said, but he had already figured out 2 things. The first was that these arms didn't care about any damage. And second, this core really was its weakness. The system reported 3 minutes remaining. The protagonist shouted, lightning rat, it must use thunderclap, thunderclap. It must cover its body with gathered electrical energy. The mouse then began concentrating energy around itself, creating a powerful charge. In the system reported that Lightning Rat had mastered a new skill, Thundercloak Effect. By using this skill on an enemy, Lightning Rat can inflict moderate and prolonged damage and the same paralysis effect at close range. This effect is enhanced against demon-type enemies. MC shouted in surprise, skill. He noticed the hands emerging from the ground, which were repeatedly struck by lightning bolts. He shouted, finally, he's free, little skeleton, right now. The next second, the skeleton swung his weapon and charged at the monster. The system reported, little skeleton has completed the kill. Strength increase 7th stage. Lightning Rat has completed the kill. Strength increase 7th stage. The protagonist smiled and said, Little Skeleton has absorbed a small portion of the Bloodstone's power, and its combat power has increased by leaps and bounds. Its absorption skill is definitely the answer. Then a system window appeared stating, the main quest has been successfully completed. He received the Chaos Star Universe map. The side quest has been successfully completed. He has obtained 3 entry-level Great Panaceas. The reward is automatically stored in the storage. Exit the cultivation system. After a while, he said, Open stats. A system window appeared in front of him saying, Little Skeleton, Species, Demonic Beast, Rank, Upper 2nd Stage, Strength, Average, 7th Stage, Properties, Above Average, Skills, Puppeteer, Undead, Enslavement, Corpse, Intermediate Swordsmanship, Severed Limb, Recombination. A beast with the lowest rank of the demonic type. Most likely only the most hopeless people are forced to wield it. The protagonist said, Strength at the 7th Stage, Properties above average, and a rank of only the 2nd stage. Hey, system, are you sure this isn't a mistake? The system window said, the professional evaluation is based on a comparison of Little Skeleton's data from the beginning of the infinite chaos to the present, and the owner shouldn't doubt the evaluation. He said, beginning of the infinite chaos. Interesting. Then a system window appeared saying, Dark Shadow Lighting Rat. Species, Thunder Beast. Rank medium tier 3. Strength, low tier 7. Attributes, above average. Skills, 10 Thunderclaps. Multiple residual separation. Thunderclap. Thunderstorm. Thundercloak. Undead Call. Undead Claw. Once a common pet, it's now capable of posing a threat. The protagonist said thoughtfully that he didn't know Thunderbeast could also master undead skills. He wondered how the arena spectators would react to undead skills. He looked at the creatures secured in a special device and said, I'd like to see. Then he reached for the cube that appeared and taking out a map asked, System, is this the Chaos Star Universe map? A system window appeared stating that this was a lost ancient cultivation method that could increase the master's cultivation level. Map Chaos Star Universe will allow his body to become part of the vast universe. To cultivate, he must align his acupuncture points, muscles, and bones with the stars. This is completely different from the commonly used federations and cultivation methods. The protagonist smiled and said, Wow, so he can cultivate too? After a while, he assumed a meditative pose and began concentrating his energy. Chaos Star Universe. He must allow the star power to gather in the core and increase its mass. When using star techniques, it is necessary to rotate the energy to form a vortex. This way, the star power in the body can be released, thereby influencing the outside world. Map Chaos Star Universe. The first stage, the realm of the star vortex. MC looked at the energy flying around and wondered, is it accumulating in a whirlpool? Then he said, frankly speaking, he should be absorbing the star energy. He began waving his arms from side to side and added, with his rank as a martial beastmaster, these things are not easy to catch. Then he looked at his hands and was surprised. He couldn't catch it. The energy from this must be directly penetrating his body. He thought, since that's the case, what would happen if he tried concentrating his core on the energy's directions? Then he felt the energy in the core and shouted, it worked. Then he added, of course, to absorb the star power, he'll have to use the star power himself. He reached for the cube again and added, by the way, he has 3 great panaceas. He didn't even know what effect this had. Then he placed the 3 pills on his hand and popped them into his mouth. Powerful energy scattered around him, and he said, the star clusters in his body have grown larger. A system window appeared in front of him, congratulating him on successfully entering the realm of the star vortex. The character panel is unlocked. He shouted in surprise. His strength is only at the 3rd stage. With that, he looked at the system window, which stated, name, Suping. Species, human. Rank star vortex realm strength middle 3rd stage rating unknown. Special skill, killing intent. Then he said, hey system, a beautiful photo. Of course, he's grateful, but what other questions? The system said, Master doesn't have permission to view his current strength. Please increase his combat power as soon as possible. He looked at his clenched fist and thought. After taking 3 panaceas, his strength has increased to the middle 3rd stage. Normal cultivation would take at least 4 to 5 years. Very impressive. He then asked, System, are there any other quests with panacea rewards? A system window appeared, stating, the Great Panacea is only valid for the 1st and 2nd stages. Master has successfully advanced to the 3rd stage. Please, he should explore and cultivate independently. Furthermore, this universe was created by the Chaos Star Universe map designed to simulate the real universe. While the host is absorbing star powers and cultivating, he must pay attention to other stars slightly larger than himself to prevent inhalation. He wondered what kind of inhalation was that interrupting his training or something. A system window appeared, warning him that his soul would be destroyed. He screamed in fear. Damn it, it's the system. The system reported a warning for swearing. The master should remember that in the Chaos Star universe, time flows the same as in a normal universe. So, he must be careful. He, trying to catch his breath, said that it was more like the coexistence of opportunity and risk. He wondered a food chain, then he closed his eyes and thought, okay, he'll just avoid the giant stars and absorb everything smaller than him. Then he sighed and said, what a hassle, but a little boring. As he remembered, she's also a third-stage martial beastmaster. He doesn't even know if he can withstand her blow now. After a while, they were sitting at the table, and the mother sitting next to him told him not to starve and to get more. The protagonist wiped his mouth with a napkin and, smiling, said her cooking was incredible. It was full and would return to the room. She asked, since when did her boy become so polite? Okay, he can go. Then she began to clear the table and added, his sister is currently training. She has a competition in a few days, so he shouldn't disturb her. Tomorrow morning, she'll make his favorite corn cake. He shouldn't forget to eat it before leaving. He walked to the stairs, turned around, and replied, okay, Mom, he thought. Although she's the mother of the previous owner of this body, she treats him well. At least he can feel the kindness and warmth of home. He stretched his neck and said, so Salingu is preparing. I'd like to talk to her. He'll forget about it and continue training. Then he walked down the hallway and noticed energy coming out of the half-open door. He was surprised, huh? It looks like star power. He peeked inside and thought, big brother watching his little sister's cultivation. This shouldn't be considered peeping. He noticed his sister lying on the bed and reading a book. She was using a large star vortex. He wondered in surprise, why can she absorb star power just by lying on the bed, and the core is so big the star power seemed to be drawn to her body. Perhaps this cultivation method was taught at the university. Star power in the real world is weaker than in the Chaos Star universe, and it's evenly distributed in that universe. Star power is divided into dense and sparse areas. He's afraid that a giant star has captured the star power that should be evenly distributed. Then he crouched on the floor and thought if he can learn the university's training methods, then in the Chaos Star universe, the power and speed of cultivation would also increase. He began to concentrate and thought. It seemed like she was rotating her star energy. He'd try it. It's a pole. He opened his eyes and thought, exactly. How come he hadn't thought of this before? When there's enough mass, the pole generated by the rotation can itself attract the power of a nearby star to absorb it. Now His Majesty won't have to run around for now. He needs to try again to see the difference between forward and reverse swirl. At this moment, the sister sat up in bed and said in surprise, it feels like it's getting harder and harder. Maybe it's because of the dream. The protagonist thought it worked. Once again, a forward and reverse vortex. At this moment, his sister screamed and said, this feeling, how is this possible? She turned around and said, it's strange. The star power suddenly seemed to freeze. It was impossible to absorb. Why did the star power suddenly become disordered? Could there be a strong master nearby? All her power began to leave her again. Then she sighed and fell back onto the bed. Mom shouted, what happened? She replied, Mom, it's fine. She's training. This star power is definitely abnormal. It came from the room of her brother, the loser. At this moment, the protagonist sighed with fatigue, looked at his fist, and said, I almost mastered it. After a while, he stood behind the counter of his pet store. The next second, he found himself in the Chaos Star universe. He held his hands out in front of him and, smiling, said, cool. He automatically absorbs star silhouettes. The main thing is to keep his distance and not get too close. He can cultivate even in his sleep. Then he sensed two silhouettes approaching him. One of them said, shop owner, she's come for pets. He looked ahead in surprise and thoughtfully said that he sees big and small ones. Then he looked at the girls and said, oh, it's them. So Yinning indignantly covered her face with her hands and shouted, what are you talking about? He coughed awkwardly and said that he meant star powers. Exactly, because star powers are too weak and they both need a lot of training. Otherwise, how are they going to control stronger celestial beasts? She shouted in surprise. Stronger celestial beasts? She wondered if Lightning Rat had really improved in 3 days. She then said that the most common celestial beasts found at their university were 3rd and 4th stage, and her pet had 7th-stage combat power. The protagonist told them to wait a bit. He'd bring it right away. He then placed a Lightning Rat in front of them and said, here. She already paid last time. Yinjing placed the beast on her shoulder and said, okay, she's grateful. She wondered in surprise. Has the fur changed color? She then turned her attention to the other beasts and wondered why all the beasts seemed depressed. After a few days, they weren't quite happy to see their owner. Had they by any chance become attached to this place? Then the protagonist waved his hand and told them to leave. Ying looked at the beast in her arms and wondered if they developed any interest in it after a few days. Even during a temporary contract, a pet doesn't feel any affection for its owner. They only obey basic commands, but once the contract is terminated, they stop. At that moment, Layli extended her hand to the beast and said their wounds seemed to have healed. Their fur color has become brighter and fresher. Yinning smiled and thought, what a busy shop. Then she said, Master, she's grateful for taking care of them. Could he recommend any other food? He looked at her and thought, she's trying to play him. Fine, he won't flee her. Then they went to the display case, and he told her to just buy this 1,200 yuan each food for Fallen Phoenix. She was surprised. 1,200 each. Then she said there wasn't much time left before the competition. She needed to warm up. She thought she was very interested to see how strong the lightning rat had become. Then she placed the beast on the floor and, turning to Leal, told her to bring out the strongest celestial beast. She shouldn't hold back. In response, Leela chuckled and asked, is she that confident? At that moment, a rift appeared behind her and a creature began to emerge from it. She shouted for it to come. An earth monk emerged from the rift. Layli said, if it hurts, she shouldn't cry, okay? Yinning thought about it. She really had summoned a high-ranking stone-type humanoid beast, Lily's favorite trump card. Although she wasn't yet an adult, she already possessed the power of the 5th stage. She hoped the lighting rat could hold out while they had thunderclap and residual separation. Then she shouted, forward. The lighting rat's eyes lit up and Lel shouted, Earth Monk. It must have fun with this. Her creature clasped its hands and then it used Earth Split, sending several limbs straight into the floor, destroying it. Yanim shouted, residual separation. The lighting rat appeared in the sky, splitting into several identical beasts. Layli covered her mouth in surprise and shouted, did it create 3 clones? Her opponent said, this is multiple residual division. Then the lighting rats rushed into battle, heading straight for Layli, and she created a barrier in front of herself and shouted, Yinning, she must order her to fight the Earth Monk. Her star shield is too weak. She replied that she shouldn't be afraid. She only ordered them to get close to her, but not to attack. She thought, the Earth Monk is a high-ranking celestial beast with a good origin, and its insight is incredible. This is the perfect opportunity to test residual division. Then the Earth Monk leaped forward and used explosion, appearing underground. It appeared very close to its owner. Then it emerged from the ground and grabbed the lighting rat with its hands. The girl shouted in surprise, did it grab this? Then the lighting rat jumped on the Earth Monk's head, and the girl shouted. The lighting rat outsmarted the Earth Monk. Then the lighting rat opened its mouth, and its rival, trembling with fear, ran toward its owner. She was surprised. Why? An Earth Monk is afraid of this because it didn't catch its real body. Then the creature leaped at Layli, covering her with its body, and then created an earthen dome. Layli shouted that she was already safe. This should release her. Yinning watching this was surprised. Why? An Earth Monk, a high-ranking rock-type beast with a good background and decent properties, was so afraid of a low-ranking lighting rat. Then she smiled and, clenching her fist, said, the power of this one has surpassed all bounds. After some time, the host announced the start of the next round of the annual Feng Zen University competition. On the left side of the arena, the new dark horse of the second year, Su Yenying. And on the right side of the arena, a professional competitor who made into the top 10 last year. The very essence of insight, Li. The rules remain the same. Each side takes turns, bringing 3 pets into battle. The first side to defeat all of the opponent's pets wins. He asked for them. Then Li put his hand forward and shouted, it must come. A water stealth beast appeared behind him. The onlookers were amazed. They must see what a weak beast he summoned. Isn't he afraid that this beast will lose? The guy thoughtfully said that he didn't think last year's top 10 made a similar mistake. They were underestimating this Li. Ying thought Water Stealth Beast is a water-type celestial beast of mid-rank origin. It is good at surprise attacks. Then she said, let it come out. A fallen phoenix appeared in the arena. She said completely opposite properties. They will see whose is stronger. Then the host shouted, oh, participants, Su summoned a fallen phoenix of high rank origin. This is truly a